Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys and guns, we'll be talking tactics, strategies, and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast. Oh. What's going on, everybody? Gotta put that in full screen. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles on YouTube. Got my co-host alongside me, Elliott from Freelance Duck Hunting on YouTube. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the podcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I see my mom's already in the crowd. That's always a good thing.
Nice.
Have your mom there cheering you on, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if my mom even knows how to make a YouTube account.
Well, my mom knows enough to be very dangerous with all social media.
Oh yeah, I've seen her on Facebook as well. Yeah.
She loves political posts on Facebook, let me tell you. And I'm not into politics hardly at all. I mean, I just don't. I used to be. And at some point in time, I got so frustrated that I was like, you know what? This is not enhancing my life at all. And I just totally withdrew from it. And my life has been so much happier ever since. But
Yeah,
my mom is just like constantly trying to bait me into political discussions and stuff because she's all in on it, but not me.
Sharing all the posts with you. And yeah, I'm definitely not into arguing over the internet. Like, life's too short, man.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I had a poll come up on Facebook the other day, just random. It's like, do you think Facebook is beneficial to the society, detrimental, a bunch of, and I put like the worst I think that Facebook is so toxic because everyone behind their keyboard is so self-righteous and knows so much. It's like so many casual friendships are just destroyed by people's dogmatic beliefs on Facebook. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I'm still on there, so.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, I usually don't. I stay out of that stuff.
For sure. And every time I say anything like someone put some ridiculously one-sided stupid post on there and I'll say something back about it. And then within 5 minutes, I regret it. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to remember, never say anything substantial other than about waterfowl hunting on Facebook.
Yeah. Like I've made like one like super substantial like post recently and I like deleted it immediately. I'm like, come on, like I don't want to add any drama. It was actually like, yeah, I'm not even gonna get into it. Let's move on to the next subject.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good to me.
Before I get myself in trouble. Yeah, the only thing I like about like, or not like, the only thing that I'll participate in politics is like if it has to do with like duck hunting or the outdoors. Like I'm like, well, it's at least good to like, it's good to know all of it, but
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yep. So what you've been up to lately? I've been seeing on the Instagram you've been out scouting and.
Yeah, we took our first trip to the Marshes a couple days ago. Golden Boy and a couple of my boys and Izzy and I just wanted to take a tour of the public marshes and see what they had planted, where the water levels we're looking at, and man, we are hurting for water. And I already knew that, but it's worse than I thought it was. The water situation. And we came back with, I pulled 27 ticks off of Izzy, 15 off myself. And but we still had a good time. And there was one pool I'm really excited about that is full of really good looking corn that they can pump. So it was great, man. It was fun to get out and just daydream about duck hunting, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I took Izzy out training yesterday. I hadn't worked her for a while, so I got her a lot of water retrieves. And man, I swear she's about half her age when she gets out working. It's crazy. She's limping around the house all the time, and I get her out working her, and it's like she's a pup again.
Nice.
So what about you? You been doing anything?
Yeah, I kind of did a similar thing on Monday. I was actually gonna do a canoe video and a couple others, like starting to get back into the content of the swing of more heavy content, being closer to season and stuff. But man, I got out there and it wasn't the ticks that were attacking me. It was like horse flies and deer flies and like just getting eaten up. And then like you said, like we're pretty low in water too. And the creek I normally access through, I couldn't get through. And I was like trying so hard. It was such a struggle. And then finally I got out to like the main part of the river, and I get stuck out there in a thunderstorm.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we're still on the river. Like I just pull over to a sandbar, and I'm like, well, just wait for the rain to pass, and I can't get out my big camera or anything. And then I hear lightning and thunder. I'm like, okay, and I run to the woods because I'm like, that's better than standing in the river, and
Yeah.
and yeah, so just
I
got rained
love
on,
being
got
out
soaked.
in harsh weather. I just something about being in harsh weather. I just love it. Is I don't know. It's so much fun to me. I love those moments.
Yeah, I do too, up to a certain point. This last season, the last week of hunting, it was so cold. It was so cold, like your feet would hurt, and that's when I'm not a fan of it. Like when my feet hurt so bad because it's so cold. But I just need to come up with a better strategy for keeping my feet warm. That's like a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I have poor circulation in my feet, and that my feet are the only things that ever get cold. And there's something about my poor circulation. I need to invest in because I know they've got socks that actually have little wires down in there and little heaters and stuff.
Yeah,
And I think they're only about $50. I would love to get those because my feet get really cold.
yeah, I've thought about getting something like that. The only thing I've heard, they only last like a couple hours. So
Oh, really? Well, that'd be
yeah,
better than nothing.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
it gets you the first couple hours.
the little foot warmers work pretty well if you just drop them down in your boot, where you can't tell your feet don't feel warm; they just don't feel numb anymore.
Yeah, what I do is actually take the hand warmers, and so I'll wear like two pairs of socks. So I'll wear like a thin pair, and then I'll take the hand warmer, I put it on top of my toes, and tape it up, and then pull my wool socks over it. And so the only problem is sometimes your feet start to sweat, like because if you do it right away, like maybe I need to wait till I get there or something. It's just it's like a thin lead you gotta a thin line you gotta tread. You gotta like keep your feet warm, even like up to the point you get there, because if they're cold already, there's no warming them up after you get out there. But if you get them too warm and start sweating, then they're wet, and then you're just done.
Yeah,
It's just
I'm
so
never
cold.
proactive about that stuff. The extra little things like hand warmers, feet warmers, I don't worry about it until my feet are killing me. So, and then someone always has to give them to me, and I plop them down in there. So
Yeah,
I
I mean
never good enough to do it ahead of time.
it doesn't get that cold in Kansas, does it?
We get several days that are below zero.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah, that's cold.
we get we'll have a few hunts that'll be right around zero. So it gets pretty cold. That's the thing about Kansas. Yeah, it's like the drastic extremes. Like we've been at 100 for a long time, and the humidity's terrible, but yet we can drop below zero as well.
Hmm. Yeah, we honestly, I think most years we only have like a couple days of below zero, but I mean that's fine with me. It's
Yeah.
probably good for the ducks though. Get a good push of ducks.
Yeah, I love those times because then we always go to the river and we're hunting the river. But it can get so cold that the rivers completely ice up too. And when the rivers completely ice up, things get really bleak. But it's got to be zero or below multiple days for it to do that. And the river has to be low. But it can happen, and that's when everything shuts down.
Yeah.
So do you have a
Yes.
to-do list before hunting season that you have to do or things you have to buy? Because we're coming up like 8 weeks or so, I think.
No, but I probably should. Like, I mean, like for me, I got to get a case of shells, or I mean, I don't have to. You can buy them like box by box, but then that stinks. Like if I don't know, do you get a case or you go box by box?
My dad and I normally get a case of we've been buying Federals, and we get a case of twos and a case of fours from Rogers before the season starts, and we split those. And
Nice.
that normally does it um for the whole year.
Yeah, that sounds
I
about
normally
right.
shoot about 200 shells a year. Somewhere between 175 and 275 is kind of my how many shells I shoot each year. I average about 5 or 6, about 6 shells per hunt is kind of my average.
6 shells, 6 birds sounds about right.
Yeah, I wish. I wish. I struggle, honestly, I struggle to hit 3 birds a hunt. I That's always my yearly goal, is to shoot 3 birds a hunt, but I'm more often than not, between 2.5 and 3. Sometimes
Yeah.
lower than 2.5 on really bad years, but
Yeah, I mean that's probably better than average for sure.
I don't know. I mean, from what I'm seeing on the Freelance Hunts Stats site that I've got, is that people are saying their average is closer to 3, and mine's a little bit lower. But
I mean, do you
I
think
mean,
they log their hunts that they get skunked on? Probably
I
not.
don't know. I don't know that people probably. I'm so diligent at logging everything. I'm not sure. I would assume there's probably a portion of people that log it when they do well and don't when they don't. Just not intentionally, but you're excited to log a hunt when you do
Yeah.
really well,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not when you don't. That's a good point. That's a good point. I thought it was probably due to the fact that we are so very conservative with the shots that we take, way more so than most people, that I think that we end up putting a few less birds on the water, but we certainly end up losing way less birds than the people. And that's just how we want to do it. I'd rather just shoot them in close than pull the trigger a lot. And I think that might account for some of it.
Another thing you might have to consider, like, people, we probably, everybody has a tendency to do that. Like when two people shoot, you're like, that was my bird, or,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
split it, and then that'll drive people's numbers up too. Because they're probably going to include those in their stats as well.
Yeah, and the way we do it, see, when we were recording our logs on Excel spreadsheet, we counted halves, and I actually recorded halves, so you could have 2.5 on a hunt. But on when I had the developer make Freelance HuntStats, I didn't want people messing with halves because that's kind of a little bit over the top. I thought, even though I like halves, people, I think their reaction to that's probably like, okay, come on, that's one step too far. So the way that we do it for when I'm logging on Hunt Stats is if it's a split, I count it as one. But if there's 2 splits in a hunt, then I still only count it as one. So that's how I personally do it myself. So if Aiden and I split on 2 birds, I'm only counting it as one. But if we split on 1 bird, I'm counting that as one as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
That's how we handle that. But
Yeah.
man, I love keeping track of how many birds I shoot. And I put up a poll on YouTube. I don't know if you've used it, but do you have the community tab on YouTube
No,
yet?
I think that's for people 10,000 subs and above.
Well, I've really been enjoying it because I've been using you can create polls in there, and it shows. I never knew where it showed up until I got my new phone, and it shows up on the YouTube phone app. So if you click subscriptions and you put up a poll, then that's where it'll show. So about every day on YouTube, I've been putting up different polls, and like how many times you hunt a year, and what's your dream duck, just things like that. And I've been getting pretty good reaction. I've been getting about 3 to 4 to a couple have 500 votes on it, which I think is great.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Um,
that is a lot.
but I put one on there about logging and keeping track of your hunt data. And the questions were, you do it currently, you have no interest in it, or you don't do it, but you would like to. And I wasn't sure what to expect. And it ended up being, out of like, I think 400 votes, that 51% of the people don't log their hunts, but they would like to. 25% currently do, and 25% have no interest. So it was 75% of people actively want to log their hunts. And I was really surprised by that. I thought it would be much, much lower than that, which is encouraging to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I voted on that as I'd like to.
Yeah. I've really been enjoying those polls. It's just a great way it's just fun. It's just, it's just fun.
Yeah.
So
They got they got similar pools on Facebook as well. And, you got them in the groups. So if you guys want to join us at Fellowship of the Duck Gun, we got stuff like that going on there as well. Not too many pools, honestly, but more of the other stuff. So yeah, you think this is a good time to jump into this or that?
I think so. We were just talking about polls. I think that.
All right. So you guys got to bear with us. This is the first test run of this new, I don't know what you want to call it, game type. It's like you guys can interact with us on these. So it's called This or That, and we go through it kind of 2 different topics, and you got to decide this or that, and the polls will come up, and you guys vote. Elliott's going to drop the links in the comments over there. Just click on the comments and cast your vote. So
you want me doing one link at a time, right?
Yep, as we're on each topic. So
Okay.
So if any,
I got the first one ready to go.
All right, almost ready. Alrighty, so this or that, slide number 1, it's ducks or geese. What you got on this, Elliott?
Oh man, what do I? You want me to tell you what I think?
Yeah,
My opinion?
What's your
man. Ducks?
What if it's over those ice holes? And...
I love those goose hunts over but I mean, the things that ducks do in the air, I love ducks. Love.
I love ducks as well, and we got some votes coming in. Looks like ducks are up quite a bit at this point. And one thing I've kind of noticed is in my area, even like the group I hunt with, almost everybody says that they prefer geese over ducks. But I like greenheads.
Yeah.
Was there a suggestion from the peanut crowd?
The overlay music.
Okay, I can adjust that.
I think it is hard to hear what you're saying.
Okay, is that any better? Well, this is our first time going through this segment, so bear with us, guys.
Yeah, working out some things.
Hope you guys enjoy it, though.
Everyone get over there and vote on that now. This is only
interactive pool. It shows up. We got 28 people and 10 votes. we'll allow a little bit more time for everybody to cast their vote on the topic.
Is it better now? A little bit lower on the music.
All right.
Now, 2 years ago, I certainly would have been, or 5 years ago, I would have been much more adamant about the ducks versus geese. But a little bit, the hunts we've been having lately with geese have certainly opened my eyes a little bit.
Yeah. The thing about geese is it feels like if they're going to work, they work right in. Like ducks can be finicky. You can have like some groups that don't work and some that do. And then like, but you never really see that with ducks. Or like, the opposite. Like geese they're right in there if they're going to be or they're not. And ducks is just like, if they're not coming in, they're not coming in.
Yeah. I'm being told
this is actually
volume is better now, is what I'm being told.
Awesome. So this is actually more split than I thought it'd be right now. 64 to 36% with ducks in the lead. And I thought it would be overwhelmingly ducks because almost everybody's opinion that we've interviewed on the podcast as well has been that ducks over geese. So a little surprised, little bit surprised on that.
Well, they do things that are so cool to see.
Yeah.
And there's so many different varieties of them and different species. They're more colorful. That it's just that I prefer to see them visually. Plus, geese like Canada's. I mean, you see them all the time. You see them in parks. You see them on the golf course. A beautiful widgeon drake. You're only gonna see that moment when they're flying around at the marsh. You just have so much much less interaction with them than you do geese.
All right, let's jump to the next slide. And this topic is face paint or face mask. Oh, and what's your opinion on this one, Elliott?
I typically wear a mask over face paint, but I do have face paint with me at all times, and I do wear it sometimes. Yeah, I lose things a lot, and so having a face mask that I don't hate can be tricky because I like the face masks that actually have a built-in mouth hole on it and eye holes, so when you're calling, you don't have to try to call through anything. And I keep losing them. My dad will give me one, and I'll lose it, so inevitably I'll end up wearing face paint multiple times. But I prefer a good face mask.
I prefer face paint 100% because it just it looks cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, that it's more appealing for the ducks, but it's more appealing for Instagram. I don't know.
I got you. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, but this is really split too. Right now it's a 6 for face paint, 7 for face paint, and 8 for face masks. So that's interesting as well, that it would be pretty split. So,
now, some I do see some face paint get-ups on YouTube that I'm like, okay, come on. That's not covering your face. If you just want to do war paint on your face, that's fine, but that's not actually helping you. I see some of them that are like that.
See, my thought is as long as it's like just like breaking up your profile the same way that camo would, and like obviously taking away the shine, and if they see the shine, it's gonna kind of direct them to your face, and then they're gonna be able to pick you out. But it breaks up your profile a bit and takes away the shine. I think then the face paint's doing the job, and you can do whatever pattern you want after that.
Yeah. And you can get it during Halloween, the little tubes of black for like $1 each. That's why I picked up like 6 last year, and I still have like a ton of them laying around.
Yep, and let's jump to the next slide. And this slide is early season versus late season. So,
man.
You want to be out there in the ice, or you want to be out there 60 degrees fighting off the mosquitoes. They both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, and for early season here, I would think of that as early regular duck season. So mid-October, early November, where I wouldn't think of that as teal season.
Like duck opener,
Duck opener, yeah, because we typically don't have any mosquitoes by the time that rolls around. The mosquito hunts for us are teal season in September.
Yeah. So this one is 100. Like everybody, not everybody. We have early season vote, but most everybody's going for late season on this one.
I would be curious as to why that is for people, because I know maybe just the type of people here that we're attracting, but there's definitely a huge group of people that aren't equipped to deal with the ice. And I know there's a lot of arguments here in my state about one of the zones be either opening at the beginning of November or the third week of November. And the huge argument is that people want to be able to hunt the mixed bags in early November in shallow water marshes versus the people that want to hunt ice holes and things like that. And it's a pretty evenly matched argument, and the people on the forums get really vocal about it. And I can see both sides to the argument, but I'm surprised it's not a little more even than it is.
I know for me personally, I have better success. Like opening day, maybe opening first 2 weeks. See, that's kind of where it gets iffy, because like opening first 2 weeks is really good usually, and then it kind of tapers off a little bit, and then late season we have like a second split, and that second split's always icy and cold, and we just smash the ducks. So it's like we smash them at the beginning, and that late split is just as long as that early section where you're smashing them. So, but I think just it's that a lot of things go into it. You have kind of a feel of like they're just more memorable hunts kind of when you go through all the harsh weather and end up getting limits of mallards just flying in real close and having some unique hunts over ice, stuff like that.
Absolutely. I still don't know which one I would pick on this, because I love the mixed bags, and we actually, some of my very best months over my lifetime have been November. I've got a place where we were shooting them last year that some Novembers are just all world. And then I've had some Novembers that weren't any good. I've had some Januaries that were fantastic. I've had others that weren't very good. So I don't know. I just like it all. I would first to pick. You can't beat those river hunts where it's really cold. So I'd probably take late season, I guess. But man, it's not a no-brainer for me at all.
Yeah.
Plus we're we're hunting the shallow prairie marshes in October too, within the layout boats, and that is so much fun.
Yeah, I agree. I could go either one on this, but I'd pick late season as well. Slide number 4. And this one is rivers or marshes, so it almost comes back to what you just said previously.
Mm-hmm. What's yours
on
this one?
I think, for me, I would say that I would say marshes. Nah, it's so hard to pick. This is a really, really hard one to pick. But I've had, I don't know. I really don't know. I've had probably more success on the rivers. And there's just something about hunting rivers. There's just like, I feel like you never have a bad day on a river. You might have a bad day on a marsh, but there's always something on the river. They're always using it for one reason or another.
Yeah, typically that time of year, you're always seeing something. For me, if I was going to like, what is my ideal hunt? Give me a low of 32 and a high of 42. Maybe even a little lower than that, where you're just getting a little bit of ice on the marshes, but not much, and where there's a lot of mallards around. And I'll take that hunt probably over a ice hole river hunt, because you're gonna see so many different species in that environment, and it's just wonderful. I'd have to say marshes on this one. Just overall, I love a good marsh, especially a good prairie marsh. You give me a shallow prairie marsh, and there's nothing more beautiful than that.
Yeah, I like to see, one thing about marshes is I like to see a dog work in the marsh more than a river, just because like usually it's like you're saying, it's shallow. You get to see them sprinting through the water and just tearing it up.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because my late season hunts, now that Izzy's a little older, if it's below 12 degrees, I don't even take her anymore. So I always like to have her with me. So that's a good thought as well.
So what's your final answer?
I'll go marshes. Marshes is my final answer.
I'll stick with rivers, but it looks like the audience has the tiebreaker and it goes to marshes. Slide number 5. And slide number 5 is beard or no beard. And I pulled your picture from the archives. And this isn't like if you prefer, I don't know what this actually means. Like, would you prefer to have a beard even if you can't grow one? Like, let's say for people in the audience, if you can't grow one, or if you're like, nah, just clean shave and you can't grow one. Mine's definitely beard.
I'll tell you, my boys are big time into the idea of having beards. Oh, you got my picture of no beard.
Yeah.
Man, look at me. That was last summer. Gosh, I look so much younger, don't I?
Clean shaved. That's your younger brother,
Seriously.
right?
Dang, handsome. Man. 100% beard so far.
It's shifting. It's shifting.
Yeah, but my boys they really cannot wait until they can have a full beard.
When did you first grow your first beard? Let's just.
Man, I'm not sure. Somewhere in my 20s.
Like even like a goatee? Really? Oh.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell because you grow a good beard now, so.
I didn't even really. I wasn't capable of growing a beard because I didn't really get my manhood till about 16. So I was late bloomer.
I'm pretty sure I had a goatee about 15 or 16.
Yeah. No, not mine. Definitely would have been the 20s. I don't even remember even in college having facial. I'm sure I could have. I just don't remember. I had a terrible long, just a chin goatee that's brutal in my late 20s. I see that picture and everyone makes fun of me when they see it.
Oh, I got to see this now.
It wasn't real long, but not like as long as what you've got. But it was only the chin. I did that for a while, like only a chin goatee, and it looked terrible.
Yep, I hear you on that. I can't imagine it though. I want to see it now.
Yeah, it's on Facebook. I'll try to find it and put it in.
That'll be in the Fellowship of the Duck Guns. Yeah, that'll be there tonight.
I'll put it in there. I can find it.
It'll probably be in there. Your mom will have it in there before we're done with the episode.
Mom, get on it. I know you know which picture I'm talking about. Get on it.
All right. Well, good enough. If you guys enjoyed that, hit the like button so we know that you guys are enjoying what we're doing.
I'm hitting the like button because I totally enjoyed that. That was fun.
Yeah, pretty good. I got to do a little tweaks here and there. That's the first time we ran through it. I didn't have our face cam set up correctly on the last 4 slides, unfortunately. So we just had it for the first slide. Yeah, I'll have to double check all that stuff. And Looks like my graphs were cut off, but no big deal. Still fun.
Yeah, that was cool. Well done.
So if you guys are just joining us, I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles on YouTube. My co-host alongside me is Elliott from Freelance Duck Hunting on YouTube. And if you guys are here, obviously you know that. But, for the people listening, we're letting them know as well. And yeah, the topic for tonight is going to be duck hunting gear, what we use. And yeah. So let's jump on into that. Unless you got something else you want to add before we go on there.
Before we start the gear, I would say now I have made myself. I sat down and made a huge list. So what we're going to discuss tonight is not what you have to have. I put down in my list the essential, not the essentials, but everything I want to have in order to do everything that I want to do throughout the year. If you're just starting in duck hunting, you don't need all this stuff. You can do a lot of damage with waders and decoys and a shotgun and some shells. But so you don't feel like you have to have all this equipment. But I put down everything pretty much that I have and a couple want-tos on here.
Gotcha. Looks like we're losing you a little bit on the connection there.
Okay.
Give it a second to come back. So yeah, we're just going to go through the list like Elliott's saying. Not stuff you have to have. Some of this stuff is luxury, but maybe we'll kind of outline like what the bare minimum basics would be as well.
Yeah, and I put them in categories. There's clothing, things you need to actually hunt, things you need for comfort, concealment, boats, and then just miscellaneous, which ended up pretty much being tools.
Yeah, and if you guys think of anything we missed, go ahead and just comment it, and because I'm sure we'll probably miss things here or there as well that you guys might consider needs or necessities or luxuries as well. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So we'll start with the clothing category, and yeah, I guess go ahead and just list what you got.
Okay. Here. Yeah. Let me just list what I've got in the category, and then we can talk about whichever item I want to.
How about let's split it up into essentials and then go to the luxuries afterwards. So
Okay.
name the essentials and then go from there.
All right. The essentials are waders, layers of clothing, a camo top layer, heavy socks. I guess that'd probably be it. Those would be the essentials.
For me, maybe this is a luxury. I would add is hand warmers for my feet, just because it gets so cold that I don't know if I could duck hunt without them. And then
Luxury.
Luxury. And you're gonna say luxury on this one too, but my hands have been numb. I have to have waterproof gloves, especially when you're paddling a canoe, because the water gets on your hands, and if you can't use your hands, I mean,
Still a luxury though.
But I mean, if you're late season, you can't hunt without them.
You don't have to have it. I've gone many years without waterproof gloves.
Yeah, I guess you could probably put trash bags around your hands and then.
No, I just bring I bring about 6 or 7, well, somewhere between 4 and 7 pairs of gloves on a hunt with me. And some of the gloves that I've had take water well. And so they get really wet, but they don't get cold when they're wet. And then when they get too wet, I just swap out for another pair. I got a pair of waterproof neoprene gloves from the Hunter's Hall kit this past year, but I don't typically have them because they always seem to break at the seams too easily. So I'll wear them for a year or two, and then they'll be done for, and I don't replace them. But I've gone a lot of years without waterproof gloves.
See, that's where I got the Sitka, which when I say Sitka, I think it almost becomes a luxury because of the price point. But the Sitka waterproof gloves, and man, I guess they're a luxury, but man, I can't imagine hunting without them at this point.
Yeah. I should have put those in clothing. I had that kind of gloves in comfort and
yeah, that's
hand
true.
warmers in comfort too.
Yeah. All right. So
now here was my luxuries were an extra set of clothes with you and an all white set of clothing, which I'm in the process. I've got my eye on this from the military surplus store down here. Has some Army camo all white, but white clothes, white mask, white hat, like a beanie, warm neck gaiter. Those would be my extras.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, for the white clothes, kind of the budget route. A lot of people around here get the butcher jackets, or like a
Hmm.
painter jacket, all
Yeah.
white. Like we got some
Hmm.
meat companies around here, and if you know somebody who works there, they'll get you one of the the butcher jackets. So
Yeah, I was in the Army surplus store the other day, and I was specifically looking for white stuff, and I found, and I didn't get it yet. I'm gonna, as soon as I get paid again, I'm gonna do it. But it's got a little bag, and you pull it out of the bag, and it's got like a white parka, white pants, and it all goes in this little stuff bag. And man,
nice.
I hope it's still there. Only $50, and I think I can probably haggle them down to like 25. Really excited about that because we did so much hunting on the ice, and I'm doing more and more snow goose hunting as time goes on. So having an all white outfit's pretty important if you're not always in a layout blind. If you're always in a layout blind, it's not as important. But
Yeah. All right, let's jump to the next category, which is the hunt. And I'll go ahead and say the essential ones on this one. I would say the essentials are your decoys, your lanyard, with your duck calls, obviously, and probably a gun, which you don't have on there. It kind of goes without saying, but
yeah, why don't I have that on there?
shotgun.
Kind of an essential.
So yeah, I think that's probably the essentials. All you need is your duck call, your decoys, and your gun.
Yeah. Yeah, I know when I was in college and hunting, I didn't have that much crap. It's basically just waders, decoys, call, bucket,
Yeah, and all
you
you
know.
need really for decoys is like 5 or 6. Obviously, it helps to have more, but if you're talking like bare minimum basics,
You
you're just
have to.
starting out, you buy some from Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. All you need is just bare minimum, just a few, and that kind of sets you apart too. With a lot of people running bigger spreads, or it's really common for people to be running a dozen because that's what you can buy. They come in a set of a dozen, so you're gonna look your set's gonna look a little different too. So it's not terrible to have a small set. Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait. I definitely didn't say shells, but you're gonna need shells to go in your
Hmm.
shotgun.
Yep. Yep. And on the extras, I put spinner, jerk rig, Texas rigging, game strap. Those would all be kind of extras that are good, but you wouldn't necessarily have to have them.
Yeah, and I'd say another one. I don't know if you have this somewhere else on the list, but your blind bag or sling pack would be another thing that'd be, you know, almost a need, but not quite, because obviously you can stuff in your pockets, but that'd be one of the
Yeah.
first things I'd purchase after the necessities is a blind bag or sling pack.
Yeah, I didn't put that on there. I've got actually a big backpack. I can't imagine not having a backpack. I just can't imagine not having something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you don't have all your camera gear, and like you don't have
Hmm.
food, like all that kind of stuff, like let's just say you're a complete noob or a complete new hunter, and you're just going with your buddies, you don't really need all the extra stuff, so you don't have it's not I would say it's not a necessity still.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I suppose if you're not taking much, but I
I
always.
mean, because I've taken people on first time hunts, and they
Okay.
they didn't have a blind bag of any sort.
But you're normally taking care of a lot of their gear in those type of situations too.
Yeah, that's true. So you say you got a backpack for your sling or for your blind bag.
Yeah, I've got a. It's supposed to be waterproof, but it's not. And yeah, that thing gets jammed full. Anymore, we don't typically carry stuff on our back. We use sleds. So, because you can't have the backpack and a ton of decoys on your back. But I can't remember the last time I had decoys on my back, honestly.
So you don't have a blind bag at all, then? Just a backpack?
I do have, yes. I mean,
That
I
you
do
you
have a
bring one
blind
as
bag that
well?
I, no, I
Okay, so you
have,
bring both.
I just bring that big backpack and it holds a ton.
Hmm. So I don't know if I know anybody who only uses a backpack for their blind bag. Because you got the
Yeah.
standard blind bags, you got the sling packs, and that kind of I was gonna follow up and say, like, do you prefer a sling pack, a blind bag, or a back? I guess we'll add the backpack in there for you.
Yeah.
You prefer the backpack over all those?
It just holds so much. I mean, my backpack holds so much gear.
Hmm.
It's and so I can't a blind bag just wouldn't it wouldn't be able to hold what I would need it to. So then I'd have to have more than one, and then you have a big problem.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I end up actually
Especially
taking
with all
more
the
than
camera
one.
gear. I mean, the camera gear continues to increase, and we're always cooking. So there's always a couple cans of soup in there, a couple cans of water. I just have so much. I do have a nice tangle-free blind bag
So do you
that
have
I got in
a
Hunter's Hall, but it's just too small.
do you have a dry bag? Because that's like I have my sling pack and then a dry bag, and that puts any like essential things that. And then I have a well, I got it right here actually, but I got a waterproof like hard case for my camera.
My dry bag goes inside my backpack.
Yeah, okay.
I need to get I need to invest and get a really nice, fully waterproof backpack, because when you're layout boat hunting and you've got a dog, there is no way that things aren't going to get a little bit wet.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's why.
a waterproof backpack would probably be really expensive though, right?
Well, actually, they're not that expensive. If you spend $50, you can get one that'll last you a couple of years. And at $50 for a couple of years, because I still have one, but the more stuff that you start putting in them, then they get stretched out and they'll get little holes in them and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest problem that is usually the zippers, because you gotta have special made zippers for it to be 100% waterproof, and that's usually where your price point goes up.
Well, in the backpack, I mean, almost everything goes in just the huge inner casing of it. So there's a few zippers, but they're not that important.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just kind of everything in a big bag.
Gotcha. And before we jump to the next topic, one thing I wanted to jump back on was waders, and kind of get your thoughts on. Do you prefer the neoprene or breathable, or have you tried breathable at all?
I am just switching over this year to breathable because, and here's why. Neoprene, I cannot remember the last time I had a pair of neoprene that lasted more than a year. And so if I'm going to go through one pair of waders a year, and most years, at least half the year, I have water in my feet.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna have to deal with that, I might as well get the breathable, just because they're so much more expensive. I mean, so much less expensive and so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
Neoprenes are not very comfortable. They're not very flexible. So I'm going to the breathable this year, and I'll just layer a ton underneath them. So that's I'm making the transition this off season.
Nice. Yeah, I've done both. I actually have done a lot of the breathable for fly fishing because obviously it's in the summer, so I'll use that early season, and then I started switching to late season. But yeah, I don't see a real benefit to using the neoprene as well. It's just the only thing I would say is the boots, but you can get breathable ones with boots. So if you have like the ones that just have a neoprene boot, or not a boot but a sock, and then you put on your own boot, or the boots that come with the wader, opposed to having like 1,600 gram thermal boots. Like I think that's the biggest difference that I have in mine. And so if I ever was to go to breathable, I don't know if I would I might want to try breathable with a thermal boot attached. And I don't know what everyone's preference is on that, but that's something that I'm gonna have to try. That's the only version I haven't tried of the.
And then those boots will be totally waterproof and no problem going in and out of the water at all.
Well, yeah. You mean like it's just like your neoprene ones, right? So you got a boot and they're attached to.
No, I mean if you get the kind that are like socks.
Oh
like
yeah,
for
then
fly fishing people.
Yeah. So those boots are not waterproof at all. They actually have holes for draining the water out. But your boot, not your boot. The sock is waterproof. Is neoprene all like the sock is neoprene, and it connects to the breathable wader, right at like the line where your ankle would be. And then it has a guard. It has what do they call it? A gravel guard. And the gravel guard goes over the boot, like slips over it. If you haven't seen them, it's probably hard to picture what I'm trying to say. But I know a lot of people are going to the breathable, all season long, and I can see why.
When it gets really cold, neoprene just are not comfortable. For one, they're just
they freeze. They freeze super hard.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic: comfort, and I guess none of these are essential. So, you want to go ahead and go through the list?
The comfort list?
Yep.
I like to bring a stool with me, although there's lots of times we don't use it. I like to have it with me though. Fire starter, a lighter, which fire starter and a lighter are almost essential if it's really, really cold, as is first aid kit. heavy gloves, which are probably going to clothing, a small burner for cooking things, and then foot and hand warmers.
Nice.
And we
All
always
things.
have lighter and fire starter with us all the
Yeah.
time, every time.
I'd say one other thing is comfort. And like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying you should be on your phone while you're hunting all the time, but like, it's safe to have. So like having a charger for your phone, an extra battery that you can just plug your cord into it. Because a lot of times we go out there in the cold weather, your battery on your phone's gonna die pretty fast. And if you have that charger that you can connect to your phone, you know, it's a comfort, you know, ease of mind that if something happens, you're able to you know, charge your phone and call for help or whatnot.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about that Lysol cube, that it's a little flashlight that it attaches to metal, but then also has a little charger on it. It's not very big, and so but it's a great little emergency charger when you need it. And it's a nice tool, that little cube flashlight from Lysol.
Awesome. Yes, you did the review on that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be giving one away at the game night on August 15th at 7 o'clock Central. That's one of the prizes I'm gonna be giving away.
Well, I can just give you my address now if that's easier.
Well, you gotta win, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm
gonna have 4 or 5 different prizes. I think I'm gonna be giving away at least 5, maybe more. I'm pretty pumped. I've got a couple hoodies. I've got that flashlight. I've been talking about. I may actually keep that for myself, but I may take that off the list. That company kind of, well, I shouldn't get it. I had a little bad experience with them, so I may just keep it for myself. But there's going to be a lot of prizes, though. That's the point. A lot of giveaways.
Nice. And next on the list is a boat, and yeah, you got the list of boats. So mine would be, I got my canoe. You got your 18-foot your boat, and then you got your Sin kayaks, paddle, life jacket. For me, I use a kayak paddle opposed to canoe paddle, and yeah, I think that about covers it. You got anything to add for the boat?
You know, having a big boat is certainly a luxury, and the majority of my hunting years we didn't have one, and I only have one now because my dad bought one. So it's I'm very, very blessed with that. But when you can get an 18-foot boat, and then you have small boats as well that can go on that boat, your whole hunting world opens up.
Yeah, that opens up a lot of space. I'd say another kind of thing to add to that, maybe some extra gas, extra fuel in case you're running out. You know, tools in case you need to work on your motor. I've had where the starter string on a mud motor broke, and if we didn't have tools to get in there, we'd just be stranded. So, you know, at least being able to do that and reconnect your starter string, because that's actually common. I've seen that happen, you know, on a lot of gas engines. Maybe not a lot, but more than a few times.
Yeah, I am just praying to God we don't have boat problems this year. I'm so tired. If you guys watch my freelance duck hunting videos, boat problems tend to be a reoccurring theme, whether it's our fault or otherwise.
Yeah.
But I'm tired of it, man. It's getting old.
See, my only boat problem is tipping over with my canoe. Although we did have late season, it was super cold, and the mud motor wouldn't start, and so we just didn't get to hunt the second to last day of season. It was pretty cool. Not really. And then, you know, I've tipped over my canoe one time. Yeah, and by me I mean Chief when he was a pup. So I guess that brings up another point. Most states it's a legal requirement to take along a flotation device. And just
and
so
in
you
our
know,
state, you have to bring life jacket and like the square throwable ones as well.
Huh. See, our state is just one or the. I think it's just one or the other. Maybe you should double check on that. But as far as I know, you just have to have one per person. And when I bought mine, just kind of a little bit of a tip for this, I just went to Walmart and bought like a bright red one. And, you know, not the best thing to have for duck hunting, because I always have to make sure that's hidden well. And, you know, when companies like Under Armour are like changing their logo color from red, which is like a tiny square on your shirt, you know, to green to be like more matching to the area for camo, you know that like if you're just having like a square of your little seat being shown, that it's, you know, not good. So you can buy camo of those, and I didn't know at the time, or didn't think of it at the time, that to buy camo life preservers. All right.
Yeah, ours are kind of
So
a tan.
yeah, earth colors I think work too.
Yeah.
Next
We
category we
jumped
got
past the
is
concealment. We jumped
oh,
past the
I
concealment.
jumped back. Let's take it back to there and
Yeah.
go ahead and give us the essentials on that.
Well, I'm not sure that these aren't essentials, but it's certainly, I'd say, best practices. We have a couple tarps that are camo with then netting behind it to make them a little tougher that go into little stuff sacks. And we always have those with us in case we need to build a quick blind. We've got layout blinds, layout blinds for the layout boat, and then also raffia grass to help brush your blinds, at least with a base coat.
And then
I don't know if any of those are necessities.
there's one that you kind of forgot that's a necessity. I think it's kind of like most people would agree that face paint is obviously a necessity.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what was the poll? How did that poll end up? I don't remember.
I'd have to go back and look. I think. Do you remember what slide that is?
I think it's 2 or 3. I think
It's 2, yeah. And the poll was 11. No, it was 7. 7 for face paint. Dang it. Yeah.
Oh,
I guess
you know what? I do have that under hunting. I've got mask or paint.
Yeah.
So I did put that in.
Nice.
Just a different. Under concealment. You're right.
Yeah. So.
It's in there.
Yeah, that's true. We already talked about it, but I definitely would chalk that up to essential. Not really. You can obviously use like natural vegetation for all your blinds. You know, just make a natural blind and be okay with that. All right, so jump into the miscellaneous.
Big tarp is a good big tarp. It comes in really, really handy in certain situations. I'll tell you.
So when you say tarp, though, are you talking about the netting or actual tarp?
Well, it's netting. It's like camo netting, and we get the kind that you have the fabric, and then behind it you've got like what kind of like volleyball net material, so it's reinforced.
Gotcha. All right, let's jump over to the miscellaneous, which I'm not sure. Again, none of these are essentials. Maybe a knife for cleaning your ducks, but you're probably not. You're only using that if you're cooking, right?
Yeah.
And I usually don't cook a duck until I get home. So for me, these are all non-essentials, but multi-tool, earplugs, small saw, knife, axe, zip ties, and most of that is for blind building. I'm assuming it's why you marked a lot of that down.
Mm-hmm. And break.
And I would say like the small saw is something that I haven't been using, but I definitely want to add one of those to my blind bag just because there's been plenty of times where I'm like struggling real hard to break down natural vegetation for making my blind, and like it's just a struggle. And man, if you just had a little saw, kind of like the same kind of saw people use when they're cutting branches around their tree stand or something, you'd be golden.
Yeah. I would say that multi-tool is almost essential. I've had so many days where something happens with my gun that I have to use a multi-tool either to kick the pin out or whatever. But I'd hate to be out without a multi-tool.
Yeah, I would add one other thing too, is oil or a spray for your gun in case you're getting a lot of failed discharges on your gun. Sometimes you just need to add a little lubrication right on spot, and that'll help you out a lot. Maybe get some grit in there or something like that.
That's a good point. I had about 10 misfires last year. It really was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And so I should probably throw that in my bag.
Yeah. There's one other I just had on the a finisher tool. I actually don't own one, but my buddy has one, and it's just like it seems a lot better than wringing their necks, in my opinion. It seems like it's 100%. You don't really struggle with it. You just find the hole and finish the bird off in a humane way. And so I'd add that to the miscellaneous. Have you used it before?
No, I'm gonna give it to Aiden because Aiden is terrible at wringing necks.
I am too.
There's kind of an art to it.
Yeah, I would agree because I've had struggles with it, and I feel terrible when you wring their neck and you still see them like wiggling around. You're like, what did I do wrong? And then the buddy who showed me, thankful for him to show me and stuff. But I I don't think he understood how to do it exactly right too. Because the first time he went to show me, he's like, you hold the bird like this, you swing it around, and literally the bird goes flying. He's still holding the head in his hand. I'm like,
Yeah.
and that's definitely not like I'll take a finisher tool over that every day of the week.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about wringing necks, and I want everyone listening to think about this. When you're wringing a bird's neck, is the bird, when you're spinning the bird, is it above your fist or is the bird below your fist? So basically, is your fist above your elbow when you're doing it, or is your fist below your elbow when you're doing it?
I'm gonna say below for me. I mean, I guess it's right there. It's kind of like the access point, and you're kind of swinging it around.
Typically, when people are having, from what I've seen, is when people are having problems breaking the necks on the twist, is that the bird they're either holding that in front of them like a propeller, or they're doing it with their fist below it. If you put your thumb right on the actual neck itself and you keep the bird so where your fist is below the elbow, within two twirls, you can actually feel the neck snap. And it's very, very efficient and easy to do. But I think that most people I think there's a form to it that a lot of people don't get, and that's when it becomes difficult to snap them, because it's actually very, very easy, and you can feel the neck the minute it snaps if you're not doing it right. If you're not feeling the neck snap, then you're not doing it right.
Well, when I come up there to Kansas, you're gonna have to learn me up on that, because I'm not doing it right. I'm not feeling
you and
anything.
Aiden will have some lessons. I don't know if Aiden's going to go with us when we go out or not, but I'm giving him the finisher because he's terrible at it.
All right, next category, right up your alley. We got Chef Boyardee in the house, so go through your food topic.
My food. We bring a small burner, which you can buy them at Walmart. You just get the little tiny propane and a little burner. I always bring at least 2 cans of soup, a lot of times 3, because inevitably there's at least one person that didn't bring anything, and I don't want them eating mine. Instant coffee packets, a little pot to warm water in, water, spoons. I need to seasoning, and then a thermos with coffee.
So I would say there's a couple things that I have, a few that you don't. I like to take Powerade with me just because I enjoy to drink it, and a lot of times I don't take the time to make coffee beforehand, so I'll take Diet Mountain Dew, the healthy choice, and then I'll take
I don't know,
some
maybe I'm lost.
protein granola bars. Up your back now. Yeah, and the last thing I take is protein granola bars. So Diet Mountain Dew, Powerade, and protein granola bars, and that's all I take for my food. It's a little less, I don't know what you'd call it, but it doesn't take as much time to cook. I know you enjoy your Chef Boyardee though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things I like about the fires, it's just the time around a fire. I mean, anytime you've been around a fire with a group of guys, it's a special time. And so we do that most hunts, and it's just time around the fire with talking about whatever, our lives, our hunt, our spiritual beliefs, whatever. And it's just really, really bonding more than just sitting on a line with a couple guys. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't pass it up for anything.
Yeah.
But the soup adds a lot of weight for sure.
Gotcha.
All
right. Well, I guess we're kind of ending. We're running to the end of our time here, so.
Want to see if we have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead and if you guys got a question, go ahead and drop it. The chat is actually buzzing right by, so.
Any questions that you guys have, and I'm going to read through my list of camera gear that I take along with it. And all of this gear, I would say the majority of this gear that we read off today are actually with me on about every single hunt. That's why I need such a big backpack. There's so much stuff, but my camera equipment is 2 external batteries, my Panasonic video camera with 3 batteries, my Canon video camera with 2 batteries, my stabilization mount over with 3 batteries, and then a couple of different GoPro mounts. So now a couple of those items are new to me this year, but more and more.
Yeah, mine's pretty similar. I actually use my smartphone a lot of times. Like if I can't get my big camera out, it's waterproof. It does okay, shoots in 1080p. So honestly, that's an essential part of it. And then the big camera, obviously, way better quality, which I have a Panasonic G7, which is a really good entry level DSLR. Put a 50 millimeter lens on there, and you're gonna look pretty close to professional. And then I take 3 batteries for the camera. I take 2 external charging batteries for the phone, for anything you want to plug in. USB ports. They both have 2 USB ports. I got a GoPro 5, and then I got like 3 off-brand GoPros. I'm probably going to stop using them because the quality compared to the other stuff is not near as good. And then I got a shot cam. GoPro, I have 3 batteries, and the shot cam I have 2.
It adds up. Especially keeping all the batteries charged. Isn't that a pain? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, and then all the mounts and everything, and the lenses. I have 3 lenses for my DSLR, so take those in a Plano, like I was showing earlier, waterproof case. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and look for any questions. Somebody said, "What about a mud motor?" I don't have a mud motor for a canoe. I've seen people hook them on there. That would be awesome.
We've got a Mud Buddy 4200. It's called Black Death, which I joke with my dad about because my dad's doesn't really set out to be very macho. And what more macho name could you have than Black Death? But that's our mud motor.
What's a good price for a camera? So a good starting price for DSLR is probably without the lenses. Probably with a lens, I would say around 500. Obviously you can go way up from there, way down. Like if you want to get like a GH5 with the kit lens, it's closer to like 1700, which is a really good entry level. Well, I guess it's better than entry level. And then I guess you can probably speak on the prosumers and the camcord type cameras more than I could.
If you just want to get started with filming and you're like, man, I don't even know how much I want to do this, I don't have that much of a budget, for $250 you can pick yourself up. Well, you go and look at my season 1 and you'll see what you can get for about 200. It's not that bad. I mean, I had a lot of people watching when I was using that camera. It was a JVC Evero, and it's about a $225 camera. And I think even now the $250 cameras now are a lot better than that. So I mean, if you're just wanting to see if this is something you like to do and you like to think about your hunts, you can certainly get a camcorder for $250. That'll do the job. And then if it's something that you really see in your future and then you want to upgrade, you can do it from there. So I basically stair step myself. The first camera I had was about 200. Then season 2 and 3, my camera was about 500-600, and now I went out and bought about a 900. So I'm kind of stair stepping. The next camera that I purchase, unless it's replacing the one I have, because it's ruined, is probably going to be about $2,500. That's kind of my next step. 2,500.
Someone asked what kind of canoe I have. The canoe I have, I can't remember. I got it off of Craigslist, $200. Like, my canoe's nothing special. It's actually named after a town in Michigan, and now I can't remember what it is. And then Steve asked, Elliott, are you ready for till? Not to go far. Pre-scene warm. Okay, something about till. I'm ready. You ready for till? For sure. I'm ready for till too.
Our big question on teal season is water, because where we normally go is really struggling for water. So that's the big question for us, is what's the water situation going to be like? But we will be out there trying. We may actually go to the river and see if we can't just get a couple passes in. But yeah, we're ready to go for teal. Absolutely.
Zach asked, what decoys do I need starting off? I'd say just a dozen of the cheapest brand you can get. If you're just starting off, you don't need anything special. Just get 12. You don't even have to take all of them all the time. Maybe even go off Craigslist. You can get some good deals on Craigslist.
Yep. Facebook. Someone sent me a link for like a bunch of decoys for like $10 on Facebook the other day, but they were those old ones. But I mean, if you're just starting out, who cares?
Tucker says, duck gun, could we meet up sometime and slay some honkers? I have no idea who you are, Tucker. Do you live in Indiana? Cool.
And do you have great hunting, or does he want your hunting?
Yeah. Do you have a great hunt I can join you on, or are you looking to join up with
my
me?
ears always perk up when it's like, yeah, I've got this and that, come with me. And that's when I have guys that'll say that, and I'm like, okay, well, call me back when they're in. And then it's like I don't hear anything. So
Yep.
I'll be open to it, but I'm not open to people just wanting to just come with us that I don't know because we have a full crew. But people in the area that
Mm-hmm.
are like, hey, come with us, I'm a little more open ears to myself.
Yep.
Anything else?
I don't know. It looks like what is a need for a dog? Someone once blind outdoors asked, "What's a need for a dog?" A need for a dog, a good trainer. I'd say comforts or non-necessities would be a whistle. It depends on how much you have your dog trained. If you have your dog trained for whistle sits and hand signals, the whistle is definitely a necessity. And prior in the past, I might have even said that an e-collar is a necessity for a dog like that, or one of the the fake ones they put on that makes them think they have it on. But talking to guys like Barton Ramsey who doesn't use it at all is obviously not a necessity because his dogs are amazing. So yeah, you have anything to add for the dogs, Elliott?
No, I think you did a good job on it. We should probably shut it down pretty quick because we're heading over to Foul Front to
Yep.
be on their podcast. So I'm excited about that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, me too. So, all right, that's all we got for tonight. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. Once again, I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles on YouTube, Elliott Freelance Duck Hunting on YouTube, and that's all we got for this week, and we'll see you guys next time.